I blame that goal on this guy. It was 2-1 until he decided to start talking big.
My fault.
It's definitely his fault.
I scored for the Admirals on the second goal.
But now it's tied at 2. It's all his fault. Bummer.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Yes, indeedy, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Young is to blame for the Admirals' loss in overtime to Worcester. It's all his fault. His first ever regular season game, he got a certificate, and they took an L. And it is 757 Sports Talk, powered by Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe, and interact with us wherever you are tuning in. And Ed, I can't blame you for another loss, though, another L that went to someone in the Southeastern Football Conference, as they had the lead at halftime, but they did not conclude the football game with the lead. And we're talking about none other than the Louisiana State University Tigers in their matchup with the Aggies of Texas A&M. Their 18-14 lead did not hold up at the break, as they were outscored 35-7 in the second half alone. And thus, what happened? That ended up costing somebody his job. That somebody being Brian Kelly. He is out of there at LSU, the former Notre Dame Fighting Irish head coach. And this makes 3 consecutive weeks that a prominent top 25 coach with designs on a conference, a national title, and the college football playoffs got the boot. It was James Franklin first at Penn State, then it was Billy Napier at Florida, and then it was Brian Kelly. And by the way, there have been other schools that have made coaching changes, from UCLA to Virginia Tech and all in between and surrounding, as this happens week after week after week. My question posed to you here is not what happens to Kelly, because 4th year of a 10-year, $100 million buyout thereabouts, he's going to live all right and be okay and find another coaching spot. But of those 3 jobs, Florida, Penn State, LSU, which is the most attractive, and who, give me a name, that would be the grand slam hire of them all?
Florida, my first instinct is Florida because of NIL money. Schools are all paying $20.5 million, so I think that kitty is the same, but NIL could be a little different. I think Florida facilities, LSU, those pretty top notch. Penn State is immaculate, but I'm going to go with overall Florida, and the name that's becoming hot, one of my all-time favorites, Chucky, Banana 2, John Gruden.
Spider 3-wide banana. Spider 3-wide banana. You were close there.
I forgot the first part of the play.
Spider 3-wide banana, coach. Find that guy on the waggle on the inside post. You know,
he
one
wants
of the 50
to go.
most
Now,
beautiful people, as he once told Warren Sapp.
I think what hurt Gruden is Belichick. What's happened to Belichick in Carolina?
That's a fair point, and that NFL email scandal might not be helping his cause either.
Yeah,
although those quarterback camps he did on ESPN and TV, it showed his personality, his intellect for the game, his zest for the game and life in general. So you could be onto something, though, with Belichick, taking some of these former pro coaches, putting them in today's realm of college football, which might not mesh. I give you a name. He's not on the surface for anybody, but why isn't Chris Peterson getting any looks? He's 61 years of age. The guy did a heck of a job at Boise State and Washington. He does a nice job on TV as well. He should be getting a sniff from somebody if he wants to coach still, which I don't know that he does, but if he does, he's an innovative offensive mind, that's for sure.
Yes, yeah, a guy with a tremendous record. I think his worst year was like 7-6. Yeah, he's a guy that I can't believe. I think it's out of sight, out of mind with him. He has no black cloud hanging over him or anything, no emails circulating. So, yeah, he would be one. And, of course, the name that's being thrown around for every job in the country now is Lane Kiffin at Mississippi. And he could be had with the right kind of money. He could be had. And a name from the past, Virginia Tech past, Jimbo Fisher, being thrown around too.
Ooh, that's a good one. I had not thought much about Jimbo Fisher. That's an intriguing one, to say the least. All right, Ed, let's go now to, as you see the news about that, to the World Series. It's tied at 1 game apiece after Toronto dispatched your Yankees and won that Game 7 thriller over Seattle thanks to George Springer, no relation to Jerry Springer. LA swept the Brew Crew away after beating Philadelphia and dusting out Cincinnati. Fall Classic deadlocked at 1 apiece because it was the first ever pinch hit grand slam from Addison Barger, part of a 9-run 6th inning on game 1 Friday night, or should I say on Friday night in game number 1. Kevin Gausman got roughed up a little bit. Yamamoto was as spectacular as he was in game 2 in Milwaukee for the Brew Crew, the Brew Crew, I should say, as LA won 5-1 in game 2 behind home runs from Max Muncy and Will Smith. Game 3, it's Max Scherzer, dubbed the Warrior God by Tony Kornheiser, former Nationals ace, against Tyler Glasnow. Game 4, Shane Bieber versus Shohei Ohtani, the unicorn, the proclaimed best player in baseball since Babe Ruth, pitching and hitting. I think the series is going to be tilted in Game 4, whether it means Toronto or the Dodgers. The winner of Game 3 gets a 3-1 lead or it evens up at 2 apiece. So my question to you is, what's going to decide this thing, and what must Toronto be to get it back to Toronto for Game 6 and or 7 to have a chance to ultimately hoist the trophy? Must they be up 3-2, or can they still win the whole thing, even trailing 3-2, losing 2 out of 3 on the West Coast in LA?
LA gets to 3 wins. It's just a matter of when they're gonna win it. It's just a matter of what game they get to 3. Toronto's got to win. Most definitely got to win 1 game in LA. It'd be nice to get 2 for them. And what do they got to do in terms of? They can't just wait on a 9-run inning. Okay, that was uncharacteristic of a team against the Dodgers. They have to be consistent with their hitting, moving the runners over. We know them as a hitting team, and now they got to get consistent pitching. I'm interested to see can Scherzer do. Scherzer ain't the old Scherzer. He was great in the playoff. His last game when he told Schneider, "Go back and sit down. I ain't coming out." Can he replicate that and get a key win, or does it get blown up? Glass now has under 1 ERA in the playoffs, so he's stingy. And of course, Ohtani on Game 4, here comes the Almighty out there, not just hitting, but now he's done well pitching. He's 2-0 in the playoffs. He's it's like a 2.25 ERA, so he's steady in terms of his pitching too. It's even though it's 1-1, the momentum to me is all LA right now. They got blitzed in Toronto in that big game, and then come back in the second game and they win it. Hanley Yamamoto does a tremendous job. Now everything's cool, but I think the momentum has gone to them. Plus, they're going home.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers have the edge in this. One thing I would say, and they have playoff pedigree when it's not just the main cogs of Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, but even a Teoscar Hernandez. You think of Will Smith, Max Muncy, all these different guys. The bullpen can be a little shaky. If Toronto can hit the bullpen and get to they got to Blake Snell in that game. They need Vlad Guerrero Jr., who has been outstanding in the playoffs, to be a force in one of these first 2 games coming up, Game 3 or game number 4 in Los Angeles, to have a real chance at hoisting the World Series trophy. For Canada, not America. Yeah, I'm rocking Canada, baby, for the playoffs. Can't root for a team that's in the division rival of my Diamondbacks. Stick around. We've got more coming your way here on 757 Sports Talk, including when we come back, conversation with Maury head football coach Dyrri McCain as we're getting closer and closer to the playoffs in high school football as we are about to turn the calendar from October after Halloween to November. Stick around. You're watching 757 Sports Talk with us on Cova Sports TV. All right, I'm here with Maury head football coach Dyrri McCain after his team's 42-14 win over Lake Taylor on the road as they move the record to 7-1 overall. Coach, tied up at the break, tied up early in the third quarter. Your team finishes up with 28 unanswered. Not a lot of smiles and happiness with this game. Is this one where you have a lot of things to clean up on and you left some opportunities out there to make it a bigger margin?
Yeah, I just think that first half of football, can't put the ball on the floor. Then we put it on the floor 2 or 3 times. Didn't get in the end zone in the first drive after having some good plays. We just did a terrible job executing in the first half. I think our team understood that. So not just coaches understanding that and going at the kids. I think those guys realized it, and they talked amongst each other at half, and they talking amongst each other now. So again, we got some good signs of a good team, and we're a championship program, we're a championship team. but so are they. And for all the talk of everybody talking about Lake Taylor and whatever over these past years, like, again, I always say, man, those teams and those guys have championship pedigree. Hank has been doing it forever. Okay, you got teams like, the Holland Springs and the Phoebuses and those guys, like those teams aren't going anywhere. And you're a fool if you think so. And we know that about them. They're going to do what they do well. We did not do a good job of executing in the first half. That's just plain and simple.
Sure, we'll get to the positives that you had in the second half in a moment, including Tayshawn Branch, Matt Williams, and others for you. And the freshman, by the way, who's put his name on the scene, Tawan Pear. He's a guy, no doubt about it. The most discouraging part, the sloppiness with the penalties, 29 combined in this game, 15 for $151 from your group. That's the thing you got to really hone in on the most.
Yeah, I mean, that's not winning football. That's not going to win in November, and that's not going to win in December. And the teams that we have that won it, we did pretty well with that. The teams that didn't win it, whether we were in a state championship or whether it's state semis, didn't get it done. Yeah. So, like I said, man, these guys understand our experience as coaches. So when we tell them what it is and what we need to get better at, these guys are going to listen, just the experience of us as coaches. So, it's this group's time to take what we learned today and be able to apply it tomorrow in film and then moving forward next week. I mentioned the freshman number 12, Mr. Pear. He gets 2 interceptions for you. Had about 8 tackles, I think it was. I charted and used him a little bit on offense too. It's a guy that's now starting to show he's going to be incorporated a good deal, and he's got a bright future ahead, right? Yeah, man. I think that he's the best freshman in the 757. I mean, I'm not sure about who was around the state, so I want to be careful with my words. Sure. I mean, if I'm being biased, I'm saying I think he's the best freshman in the state. Right. If I'm being biased, but definitely for sure, I could definitely stand on the table and say that he's the best freshman in the area. He's gonna be great for us, and he's a hard worker, man. Very coachable kid, has super talent. Sky's the limit for him, man. If he continue to work hard and stay grounded, I think he'll be fine. I mentioned Matt Williams, who last year had 2 picks in this game. I think 2 pick sixes in this game against Lake Taylor. He has tonight 4 catches for 91 yards and a score. Also throws a touchdown pass. A little razzle-dazzle, which you're no stranger to. Little end-around pass to your sophomore quarterback in Damo Everett, playing in front of his older brother tonight, Dalen, who's a star for Georgia. You've got some trickery, and you've got multiple guys that can throw it and catch it. Yeah, man, I think that for us offensively, we've done a good job of using our personnel well, man. I mean, Tayshawn Branch can throw the ball also that people, don't know. So just being able to just use personnel, man, and in different ways. If you could play quarterback, we're going to find some stuff for you. If you could play running back, we're going to find stuff for you. I just think we've done a great job over these past years of just using our personnel. Final 2, Branch runs for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns tonight, and it feels like it's a really good performance, but he's still scratching the surface and hasn't quite cracked that dominant level, which might be coming come November or December. Yeah, I think that time is going to come. He's still trying to get better. He's a guy for us, and he's a guy. I mean, everybody in the stands know he's a guy, but he still needs to get better at some things, just like everybody else. But bona fide, I mean, he's definitely one of the best backs in the state, no question. Lastly, is the biggest challenge for these last few weeks before the playoffs to kind of mix and match? I know you have one of your receivers, Javon Wiggins, who was out tonight, the Lynn Maury commit. One of your offensive linemen went down, and you've had to play more guys both sides of the ball. Is that the thing for you and your staff to kind of mix and match here, try to get as healthy as possible for the playoff run? So, yeah, no, I mean, I just think that we've just been used to being able to play with maybe non-starting lineups at times. I mean, over the past years, I mean, you think of like last year and playing, that front end of that schedule and even the back end of the schedule and guys being in and out of the lineup. We've done a good job of developing guys, and it's always been next man up. So, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say like we're being careful to make sure we keep guys healthy. No, like we understand playoff football is going to be physical. We're going to take nicks and knacks. We just got to make sure that we have our 2 and 3 guy ready. We're not an excuse team. People tried to give us that. What was that, 3 years ago with Peyton and Kendall? You never heard one come out of my mouth with the excuse. Booger Knox too. Yeah. Nathaniel Knox. So like, it is what it is. The next guy got to be ready to play, and we're going out there to win. If it doesn't go our way, we're not just going to cop out with the excuse, because I feel like it's disrespect to the player that's stepping in when we do that. So we're just trying to keep playing how we're playing and obviously get better. Thank you so much. Congrats on the win. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you. You bet.
We've got Lynn now back with us. The Gremlin grabbed you for a moment, but we gave him the build-up earlier. He is the longtime sports reporter for the Daily Press, from everything from high school to college and in between, 40-plus years in the business. We say future Hall of Famer, and now the author of this book, the Hampton Roads Football Encyclopedia. It has got the history of high school football in southeastern Virginia from 1878 to 2024. 1878, just a couple years before Ed was born. Lynn Burke with us. Good to have you on the program. How are you, my friend?
Can you hear me finally?
We've got you now. Yeah, after troubleshooting all of our technology issues, we got you on. So apologize about that. I'm not sure if it was on our end or your end, but how's life treating you? It was great to see you on Thursday at Darling Stadium, and you've got to be breathing a sigh of relief. You finally got this lifelong vision of yours and project in the books, literally and figuratively.
I was never quite sure that it was going to be published. Fits and starts and frustrations and stuff. Finally, I just made up my mind that it was going to get done, and I didn't want to wait till the end of this season because I didn't want to try to scramble and reformat everything. So I decided to cut it off after 2024.
Before Ed comes on here with his hard-hitting questions for you, I want to know what made you want to do this, because you obviously have a reservoir of high school football information at your fingertips and have covered it for many years. But what made you want to do this? And as you got deeper and deeper into this, did you say, was this a mistake, or did it just encourage you to get it done more and more? Take me through that process if you can.
I've always enjoyed researching. Back when I was in high school, I would dig through the weekly newspaper back in my hometown for old basketball and baseball scores and stuff like that. And what really prompted this was, Hampton's won almost 900 football games now. This was before they won 500. There was an assistant principal there named Bobby Croft. Had been a basketball coach at a couple of schools, and he'd seen in a coaching magazine of schools that had won 500 or more games. And he called me up one night, and he said, "Lynn, any idea how many games Hampton's won?" I said, "I don't have a clue." I mean, this was probably in the 70s, 80s maybe. We had records going back to about 1950. So I started delving through microfilm, and I think I came up at that point with 475. And I just started expanding that onto the other peninsula schools and so forth. And as I wrote in the foreword to the book, one day I was at the Old Dominion Library doing some research, and the light bulb went off. I'm going to do the peninsula. Why am I not going to do all of Hampton Roads, considering 2/3 of the schools that are in this area are south of Hampton Roads?
Pretty cool. Lynn Burke, our guest, the author of the new book that you can get on the history of high school football in Hampton Roads. It's the Encyclopedia. In fact, it's a total of 385 pages, which would take Ed probably 3.5 weeks to finish minimum. Our guest here on 757 Sports Talk, powered by Cova Sports TV. Coach?
Well, first of all, I got to get the book to finish the book. And I got a feeling once I start reading it, it's coming. Once I start reading it, I won't put it down. I'm fascinated by guys and women who write books. I've been tempted to write a book on my journey in coaching, but I have no idea where to start. It's where to go. I have some memory, but not probably what I need to put it all out on paper, because some of the stories they'll look fictional, but they're the real thing. Lynn, I bowed to you on that, because 385 pages, and you did talk about your frustrations and whatever. Did you get help, and what kind of help was it to be able to go through this? I know you did a lot of the research, which a lot of good writers will do research on stories. This is why, as Matt mentioned earlier, how you're not in any Hall of Fame is unbelievable. And I know you don't like people talking about it, but we will, because some of the jokers they got in some of these Hall of Fames under sports writing, whatever, and you're not, you got to be kidding me. Not that some of them don't deserve it, but Lynn Burke deserves it. But anyways, get back to the thing. What other help you got in this book?
Well, first of all, there's not a lot of prose in there. It's a lot of lists and game-by-game scores, year-by-year scores, records and things like that. There's one section which is a year-by-year, basically recap of what happened that year, and that takes up maybe, I'm guessing, 20 pages. The rest of it is all lists and charts and a lot of pages in the back of all district, all state, all region teams. A lot of names and so forth, coaching records and players who played pro football, college All-Americans, things like that. So I didn't have to sit there and write a whole lot of prose. It was just mostly getting information and confirming it and making sure it everything balanced out.
And I would imagine getting it correct is the hardest part.
It was very difficult. You will get a copy. In fact, I had a message just before I got on here that I have mail in my mailbox. I've ordered a couple more copies. Unfortunately, I went down there and it wasn't the books. They're supposed to come in a day or so, and one of them is earmarked for you. But there are three things in there. There are yearly standings. There are you're at Smithfield now. Smithfield's 1948 record game by game, and then 49 game by game. Then there's a little section of the yearly record, 7-2, 9-3. Had to go through and make sure for each school everything matched up, and that took a while and made me go back and do some research just to confirm things.
Yeah, that's awesome. You say it's just list, whatever. I don't take that lightly, as opposed to somebody that has a bunch of words in a book, because again, you're fact finding. You're going to have, nobody else can do that. So you're going to have to be, the key there is, as we just talked about, is having those facts right. Because I can imagine somewhere somebody might say, hey, I read this book in 1962. I was on the team. You have us for 3 wins. We had 4.
I'm sure there's going to be something like that. But one of the things I tried to do was, especially probably from 1950 on, was the newspapers, the Virginian Pilot, the afternoon paper, the Ledger Star, and model paper, the Daily Press, would run standings, and I would make sure I would match those standings up to what I had. So there's a lot of checks and balances going on. Inevitably, I know somebody's going to message me and say, hey, this or that or whatever, and I'm going to feel bad. I already know of one omission. I'm not going to mention it. That's bugged me since I looked at the book the other day.
Well, the omission, put it this way: if they find it and say something to you, send them an autograph of Lynn Burke on a piece of paper because they found it. That's fine. Nobody writes. I believe, this is my opinion. I don't think any book that you look at doesn't have omissions or a mistake. Phil Steele, who does the football book that Matt and I, and you've seen it too.
Oh yeah,
we love it. As I read through it, I counted this year already 4 little mess ups that maybe not by him, maybe it's the print, whatever. But I'm not going to get on the phone and say, hey, Phil, I see these 4 mess ups here. The book is too good. And I imagine, and I appreciate that. So listen to this. Lynn Burke has my own special copy waiting for me. He's going to autograph it. So this knucklehead here thinks he had one over on me. Good job, Lynn, because we have to put him in his place. He always thinks he wants to get on there, act like a little kid. Nana, you ain't got a copy. That's why I didn't say nothing. See, I was calm, cool, because Lynn has already told me earlier, Ed, don't buy the book. I'm going to get you and I said, Lynn, I'll buy it. I'll definitely pay. I'll give you one because of the work you've done.
But hold on here. I didn't see your name on page 5, which was, again, awful kind to him to put in there. You didn't have to do that.
It's a football book. My name doesn't belong in there. Okay. Now,
here we go. Here we go.
High school football book, Lynn, Matt Hatfield's name will be in there on every page for the amount of screw-ups he has done. Yes, I could see that too. So hats off to you for mentioning him one time, because every once in a while he does get something right.
Well, let me say this. When Matt and I were standing on the sidelines before the football game the other night, we were laughing about how long it was going to take you to ask me, hey, Lynn, when are you going to do a basketball book? And
that was my next question. There you go.
Well, all right.
Hey, hold on now, Lynn. Lynn, I love you to death, but if you don't do a basketball book, I'm going to be a little bit upset. I'm just saying, because that was on my head. The minute I heard you did a football, I said, well, wait a minute. Is he working on the basketball? I don't know how much help I can give him. I got to see that.
I knew it.
Let me say this. I really started working on this book in 1984, and now it's 2025. So that's 41 years. I'm 77 years old now. 41 years from now, yeah. But no, I tell you what I am working on are not 757 centered, but for the state, I have really one ready to go after this football season. It's a history of the state football playoffs and state champions. And I've also got one ready for boys basketball. The same thing. I've just got to do some more research there and wait till after this season. And I just started last week researching the same thing for girls basketball.
You can catch more of our conversation with Lynn Burke about his book, The Hampton Roads Football Encyclopedia, next week. And also be sure to check out the full interview up on Cova Sports TV on YouTube. Stick around. More 757 Sports Talk is on the way, including rants from Tom Izzo and Coach Ed Young.
You know, I'm going to get myself in trouble, but
Anytime somebody says I'm going to get myself in trouble, but I can't help myself but to think of Ed Young, my co-host, because it's something he often says, whether it's on this program, other programs, platforms, places, things. And it is now time for our 10-minute. We didn't have 5 today. We expanded this to 10-minute burning topic here on 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe, and interact with us because this is too good. This is too much. This is too rich. Oh, it's like rich chocolate that just melts in your mouth to have only 5 minutes for it. So let's go back to what Michigan State hoops coach Tom Izzo was going to say about the G League and players in college basketball. We stopped it. We won't stop it now. You'll get the entire 4 minutes and 7 seconds, and then my partner in crime's reaction to what he had to say.
you know, I'm going to get myself in trouble, but I listen to people talk of how kids changed. Kids aren't the problem. We're the problem. This was sprung on us again yesterday, where a guy can be in the G League for 2 or 3 years, and then all of a sudden he's eligible. Most of my people knew nothing about it. I don't think our commissioner. I mean, I am not real excited about the NCAA or whoever's making these decisions without talking to us, just letting it go because they're afraid they're going to get sued. So you're right. I said that this really bothers your coach if you're Michigan State fans, but if you want a silver lining in a cloud, I am going to call Magic tonight. I'm going to call Jaren Jackson, Miles, Gary, Max. You know, this just goes to show you how ridiculous people that are in power make decisions. I mean, you know, and I'm going to get killed because someone's going to say, well, if they go pro, it doesn't work out, shouldn't they be able to come back? Well, what about the freshman you recruited there? That's somebody's son. And he thinks he's got himself a good place, and all of a sudden, shazam, they pull out of their hat and bring a 21 or 22-year-old in. To me, it's ridiculous. To me, it's embarrassing. And I love my job. I don't respect my profession, and I don't respect who's ever doing that. Whoever made those decisions, because they're afraid that a lawyer's going to sue them, sooner or later you got to fight the fight. And you know, if we would have been aware of it, if somebody would have talked to us, maybe it's me, maybe I'm the dummy, but I'll never agree to that stuff. I think we're really hurting the freshmen in high school. I mean, the seniors in high school, giving them a chance, and we're just gonna, what's the age limit now? Is it 30? You know, if you have 3 beards and 2 mustaches, are you illegal? You're not allowed to play? I mean, what is it gonna be? And so, yeah, you hit a sore spot for me because the transfer portal is enough. You know, we have no rules. And now we just taken no rules and add some more no rules. And if everybody likes that, that's good. And I feel bad if a kid came out early. Maybe we shouldn't come out early. Maybe we should do a better job of helping kids make decisions, said decisions they make, and then, oh boy, I made a bad decision, so I'll go back. But the unintended consequences are the kids that are there will now get screwed and not have an opportunity. And then they'll be transferring, and then we'll have this circle. So I do not know everything about it. I cannot believe that this was sprung on us yesterday. And if it was done earlier and I didn't know about it, shame on me. But my compliance officer didn't know. There were people in this league didn't know. The NCAA's got to regroup. They got to regroup. That's my opinion. Only my opinion. So don't be mad at anybody else. Be mad at us. But I'm not going to be mad at the players. I'm going to be mad at the adults in the room. And so don't blame the players anymore. Blame the adults that make the decisions that allow some of these ridiculous things to happen. And then the unintended consequences hurt kids that are trying to do it the right way with a process, not jumping around. And that's my 2 cents. So put that wherever you want it.
Put that wherever you want it. Shazam! 3 beards and 2 mustaches. He said a lot there. Tom Izzo, the longtime head coach, is spotty about G League dudes in college basketball. It's ruffled the feathers of him, his colleagues like Rick Pitino, Ricky P at St. John's. College hoop season getting ready to start. I know people are all into college football right now with Ole Miss and Oklahoma and what's happening in the SEC and the Big Ten and the playoff, and UVA winning a thrilling game in overtime, hanging on by a thread against Chapel Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels as they stay in the top 25 in the hunt for an ACC championship game in the college football playoff. But Edward, it's time for you to have the floor because college basketball has a problem on its hands, and I'm sure you and Mr. Izzo are all irate, among others.
No, it's not just college basketball. I really don't want to do this rant because I've done it before.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
No, it's not. You know, Izzo jumped around worse than I do sometimes, and he's not known that. But you can tell it bothers him a lot. The statement that got me when he said, "I love my job," and he's very passionate with his kids, but he hates the profession. And I can almost echo that same thing. Now, we don't quite have on a high school level the issue he has, but it's still an issue. And he said about kids changing. No, they haven't. It's we allowed the changes. I agree 100% with that. People say, oh, you got to be careful. You're an old relic. You can't coach like you did 20, 30 years ago. Kids don't respond to that. Why not? If discipline is still a big part of winning. If you're not disciplined, you're not going to win. You're not disciplined in life, you're not going to win.
Well, let me stop you for a second, too, by the way. Just for those that have no context of what he's talking about. There was a player from the G League that made a college commitment to become eligible to play in the 26-27, that's next year's season. And London Johnson is that 21-year-old who spent the last 3 seasons, not 1 or 2, 3, to be eligible to commit to Louisville this past week. And it's got Izzo and many others irate, just absolutely beside themselves. So it is hard to comprehend and wrap your brain around a little bit. And it is something that I'm sure will not be the first or last instance that draws the ire of longtime coaches like yourself and one Tommy Izzo.
Again, NCAA toothless. Another thing I agree with Izzo. Well, we could get sued, so we're going to put this rule in. Well, get sued. Go to court. You got enough lawyers and fight it. You have your rules. Any organization have rules. You can't follow rules. You can't play in there. Go back to the days where you can transfer, but you sit out a year. Well, regular students go jump around in schools. They don't. What the heck are they sitting out for? They're just a student. They're not playing a sport. Okay. We're allowed. Well, kids should have choices. That's the problem. Young kids make bad decisions. It's been the history of kids. We all been through it. You make dumb decisions when you're younger. Well, they're supposed to go through life making their own decisions. We can't do things for them. So if a kid decides, I think I can cross the street at cars going 75 miles an hour, I want to try it. Well, go ahead. That was your decision. Go ahead. It's ridiculous.
Not a good decision.
No, you have he's a pro. And back in the day, once you declare pro, not even play pro, but once you declare pro, you're done. Your eligibility's finished. You move on.
Well, you heard or saw what Pitino said. He says, if we're going to get G League guys, he says, I want first pick at the NBA guys next. Give me Giannis. I want Antetokounmpo.
Exactly. You've got to have more. We got to have to go back to the rule. I'm not saying, and anytime money's involved, and it is, you have issues. And ever since we started doing NILs and paying players and this and that, we have all kind of issues. I'm not against paying players. I've said it for years. The players should get more than just a free tuition. I've always said that. But it's so out of hand now. And everybody knows it's out of hand, including and another decision I love when him saying he has no respect for some of the decision makers. And this is what I've echoed at all levels. You have people making decisions that have no business making the damn decisions they're making because they're wrong. They don't consult the right people, normally the coaches. And that's at any level. And I'll go to my grave with that one. And it needs to be restructured. How about the junior college rule? We all understand when you go to junior college, you play your freshman and sophomore year in college because you need some academic work. You need some skill work in the sport you have. Then you get to go finish your third and fourth year at a school. Well, the court said, why are we doing this? They should go to JUCO if they want, but they should still have 4 years at their regular school. And everybody said, okay. So now you can play 6 years. A kid that's a JUCO kid can go play 6. He can have a bigger college career than he can have an NBA or an NFL career. 6 years. And it's probably going to see the guy playing 7. Okay, here's the problem in all of this. Nobody addresses the academic side of it. What the hell's a kid go to college for? I would think you're trying to get your degree. Now, if you can make $1 million as an incoming freshman, what the hell are you doing in college? You ain't no job you're going to find for 4 or 5 years in college that's going to pay you $1 million in your first year in that job. So again, I'd say this, which nobody has said. Why the hell are we giving these kids free tuition, free books, whatever? And they're getting their salary's $2 million a year from the school. Make them pay their own way through school. Take that money and put it in a fund for kids coming out of high school who are academically inclined but can't go to school because of financial situations in the family. Give those kids the free tuition books because they deserve to be in school because they're in school for the right reason. If you're going to go to school because I'm going to the NFL, I'm going to the NBA, which the NBA and the NFL use the colleges as their minor league. The G League is nice, but it's not a main pusher for players to get into the NBA. It's the colleges. And they don't have to worry about having their own structure like Major League Baseball does. So stop putting kids in college who are basically there for athletic reason and calling them student athletes. I always say this. They can go to college. They don't need to go to class. Okay? You're there as an employee of the school. You're on the football team. You're on whatever. You're going to get paid a salary, blah, blah, blah. That's how it is. Make them sign a contract. If they transfer, give us a buyout. You're going to have to owe us X amount of money. You break the contract. We're getting you ready for the real world. And if you don't have a pro career, well, if you didn't save your money in the college level, too bad for you. You should have made a better decision. So that's the way I look at it, too. I agree with Tom Izzo almost 100%. It's we allowed the situation to occur as it is now. Kids have not changed. We have allowed the change. Back in the day, and I know people say, old man, stop talking about back in the day. You had kids that were fearful to make mistakes at home. Parents would knock them on their backside. They were fearful to make mistakes or open their mouth at teachers in school because not only would they get it in school, they're going to get it when they get back home too. All of that's gone. And that's why you have kids running amok because we allow them to do whatever. Oh, they have to explore their opportunities in life. You know, COVID, we talk about what COVID did to the world. One of the things I say it did is it made kids extremely soft because we're so worried about their mental health now. So we weren't worried about mental health before. Mental health should have been, as well as physical health, should have always been important. Why did COVID have to bring it out now that we got to worry about their mental health? Kids, especially the high school level, aren't ready to make a lot of decisions on their own. And when they make bad decisions, there has to be consequences to make them understand, well, you made a decision, but it's a wrong one. And now here's the price you pay. A lot of kids make bad decisions. They don't want to pay the price. It's not how the world works. You walk into a bank, you stick a gun up and say, I'm taking the money. You take the money, you turn around, walk out the door, and wait a minute. Let me walk back in there. Hey, I made a mistake, y'all. I'm sorry. Here's the money. I don't mean to rob the bank. Okay, don't do that again. No, that's not what we say to them. They're going to jail. And this is what kids need to understand. I don't care how young they are, because I always get told that. Well, Coach, you have to understand these are younger kids. These aren't adults. You have to allow for mistakes. Okay, now you open the door for allowing for mistakes. They're going to keep making mistakes. Okay, you work with kids, you talk with kids, try to understand where they're coming from too, but they're not old enough to make adult decisions, but they are old enough to have consequences in their decision making. And a lot of parents have no business being parents because they don't know how to discipline or parent their kid. That's another problem that we have, especially at the younger levels. So I agree with Izzo. Yeah, it fires me up that we got kids in school 6, 7, 8 years. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because sometimes in the past, because of financial reasons at home or whatever, because money is always the root of all situations, that they had to drop out of school for a year or two because they didn't have the money. So it needs to be fixed. I don't think it'll ever be fixed because money's involved and we've lost all. And Izzo's right. It's pretty much a free, go for it all, whatever you can do, however you can get players in there, whatever. And then you can always say, I didn't know the rules. Oh, what was the rule? How can a compliance officer not know the NCAA rules? That means it's really crazy. And the idea of courts running the system. So let's just put all college sports under the guidelines of the courts. And NCAA, we don't need you around anymore. Let the courts decide what is legal and not legal. I went over my time. It bothers me like crazy. I'm tired of hearing that kids are different. No, they're not. It's adults different. And then you got people in power positions at every level have no business being a power position because they're making whimsical decisions that don't really affect them. And that's the problem.
The views and opinions expressed by one coach, Edward Vincent Young, do not necessarily reflect those beliefs of Cova Sports TV and its associated partners.
It's
and at this time,
mine.
I'm here with Hampton class of 2027 two-way lineman Gene Jones Jr. is playing left tackle and D tackle all over the place for the Hampton Crabbers. They win tonight 21-14 of the Warwick Raiders. All right, Gene, this is a game won in the trenches. You know what Warwick's done the last couple of years to you guys with Christian Corbin is going to Delaware, Dwayne Skip with the net crew up front. What did it take to come out here for 48 minutes and prevail over these guys?
We just go 100% every day. You know what I'm saying? We came a long way. Haven't beat them since I started playing football here at Hampton. So, it's a great feeling,
You know the history of Hampton football, the championships, and Mike Smith, the legend on the sidelines tonight. All excited for you guys. What's this mean here to beat Phoebus last week and not have the hangover effect? I'm sure the coaches talked about that all week of let's not have a letdown, right?
That's right. We just had to come back and do it the same thing we did last week, this week, you know what I'm saying? Come back now, tomorrow, get back in the lab, get ready for next week.
There was a lot of woofing in pregame, which is natural when you have a big game, whether it's Hampton Phoebus or Hampton Warwick. You all were relatively quiet, though. Did you all kind of take that little personal coming in? What was sort of the mindset in the locker room? Did you all say much? What was kind of the vibe, if you will, or mood?
That's how we lock in now. You know what I'm saying? Sure. You got to keep it solid, you know what I'm saying? Show up with our pads. Don't do all the talking.
You made a commitment, we'll talk about in a moment, to UVA this past weekend, but when somebody watches the Hampton Crabbers, they see number 73, what are they seeing in him on the field? And is there a lineman out there that's playing pro or college football that you kind of study or you say your game's similar to?
So who?
Yeah, is there anybody that maybe you model your game after you think your game's kind of similar to?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I'd say Chris Jones, Kansas City.
You smile at him. What is it about C. Jones that you're alike with or that you like?
His work ethic, you know what I'm saying? He don't give up, don't take plays off, go 100% every day.
Okay.
Every step.
I just mentioned you made that commitment to UVA. How juiced up for you to be a Wahoo? You've got a whole other year of high school football to this, but you're getting a lot of 7x7 guys. Lonnie Andrews from Oscar Smith, Derek Fisher from Bethel here. Yeah. Something starting of the 7x7 in the Wahoos?
Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? We're going to build a program. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Go up there, be great, do it all over again, try to win the national championship.
Sure.
As a whole, yeah.
I imagine they're winning appeal to you during this whole process, right?
Yes, sir.
What was it about UVA that was different and made you want to do it now? You got a whole other year. What made you say, I want to end this now and just get it off my mind?
Me and the head coach has a lot of similarities. Okay. We grew up in a rough lifestyle, and to come out here and do what I love, you know what I'm saying, help my mom and all this other stuff. So I decided to stick with UVA, and I have a strong bond with UVA. So
I'm sure you're going to recruit some more guys from the 7-5 to join you. Last two here for you. This game tonight, did you all feel like Ward didn't complete a single pass? Was part of the game plan make them have to throw? And if they do, Gavin and my mates up front, we're going to go chase that guy down and make them one-dimensional? What was sort of the thought process coming in? Be honest now.
We knew they was going to be running the ball a lot. We watched film. So we didn't think they was going to pass the ball a lot. So we just stepped our game up and watched for the run.
To give up 14 in the first quarter, last Gene, and last question, to give up 14 in the first quarter and not give up the rest of the game, what does this show about the improvement from this defense? Because I don't know if a month ago you all would have done this against this type of competition. Did you feel like you've gotten better defensively? How so?
Yes, sir. Like I said, we stay in the lab. We work hard every day. We don't give up, and we just want to win the state championship. So we're going to go out there and show what we do. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Tops in the PD. Watch out for number 73 for the Crabbers and soon the Wahoos. Gene Jones Jr., thank you so much. Good job.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we're back here on 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV wherever you are. Ed, you heard from the defensive lineman of the Hampton Crabbers, Gene Jones Jr., future Wahoo. And Hampton's atop the PD. Cavaliers top the ACC, looking mighty fine right now, aren't they? Trying to close in on perhaps an ACC championship, and dare we say the college football playoff, which looked impossible to folks that were not bleeding orange and blue of UVA, say, in August.
Yeah, I mean, UVA doing a great job on the field, 7-1. I mean, the only way you'd be better is 8-0. A couple overtimes, 3 overtime wins, knocking off Louisville. So doing a great job, and they're in the 7-5-7, signing players left and right, like back in the day of old. And these are youngsters too, some guys that are just juniors, like Jones right there. Quarterback at Smith, Lonnie Andrews. Hey, UVA's good. It's a good time right now for UVA. A good time. They haven't had one lately.
Yeah, and they've got to keep the momentum going because Virginia Tech doesn't have a coach in place for next season. We've seen teams have momentum rolling and then you hit a speed bump. So they want to keep this going. And they have a Cal team that's actually, I think, thrown for more yards than them coming up on the road. Slight favorite. You have Duke after that, which we know is a dangerous spot. So a lot of things remain to be seen here. Some good quarterbacks in that junior class with Marcus Chapman, Jones's teammate. People can watch that full interview we did with him on Cova Sports TV on the YouTube on 757 Sports Talk, as well as Maricus Banks of Phoebus, who's already committed to play his college football at Old Dominion. Another one is Kevin Parker of Denby. He's our Chicho's Pizza 757 Football Player of the Week. 5 total touchdowns for the Patriots in their win over Woodside, accounting for 327 yards and 5 scores as they beat the Wolverines for the first time since 2005. Snapped a 17-game losing streak in the series, and Ed might run into him on the hardwood this year in Region 4A in basketball since he coaches at Smithfield and Parker plays some hoops over at Denby. But we transition from Chicho's Player of the Week, Ed, to what's on deck in college football. There are some big matchups, and one of those big matchups involves the Longhorns of Texas. No Arch Manning on the gridiron for them as they take on Vanderbilt with Diego Pavia. Penn State, Ohio State would have been a big game if Penn State hadn't gone sideways. SMU Miami is really intriguing to me. I don't know about for you. Oklahoma, Tennessee does look like the headline game. Winner probably in much better shape to make the playoff. And I think that Cincinnati-Utah game is not too shabby either.
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati, Utah, Oklahoma, Tennessee are two games that both teams are ranked. That's kind of why you probably put some eyes on them. I think Indiana romps. Ohio State should romp. Miami be interesting. I think Vanderbilt handles Texas. I'm a Vandy believer now. I think Texas Tech has enough juice to take off Kansas State. Georgia, Florida is an old rivalry. Georgia's ranked. Florida isn't. We'll have to see what happens in there. I think Georgia Tech rolls with State. But that could be a killer game for Georgia Tech. And Southern Cal, Nebraska, I'm going to lean towards Southern Cal. But, yeah, the two games involving the ranked teams are interesting.
So are the ranked teams on the road, like Texas Tech and like Indiana, Miami, Southern Cal, Georgia, who should be on upset alert the most against a team that's not ranked or ranked higher than them? Who should be on upset alert? Anybody of those that grouping?
I'm gonna say Georgia Tech, probably second, right behind them, Southern Cal, maybe Georgia, because Florida's a tough place to play if that game's at night. Nope, 3:30. So I don't know. I'm gonna leave Georgia's number. The third one is tough.
Okay. There you have it. That's going to do it for this episode of 757 Sports Talk. We thank all of you for tuning in. He is the coach, Ed Young. I am Matthew Hatfield, and we'll catch you next time in the month of November. Yeah, getting closer to Turkey Day when Ed likes to go gobble, gobble, not put the turkey on his head like Mr. Bean, but chow down on some Thanksgiving trimmings. He loves that.
Yep.
We'll see you next time.